So let's say I have in documents, I'm going to make a new folder. I just either right click or control click, press new folder. It's also up here as well. And I can title it ARS 104 Project 2, and then my name. Inside that folder, and I'm using the column view. I find this to be the easiest, but you can use the other views as well. But inside this folder, I'm going to make 3 new folders. Assets, project files, and exports, and then in assets, 2 more. I'm just tying them 1 and 2. But 1 is for the found audio, and 1 is for the recorded audio assets. And I just quickly downloaded some stuff from archive.org. That's in my downloads folder. So here I have some MP3s, another folder with some audio tracks. So if I just click and drag and select all of these, I can actually just come over, hold it over documents, brings it up. Now hold it over, I'm still holding down, hold it over ARS 104. Now I'm dragging, holding it over assets, and number 1. And I let go, and it moves the files into that folder. Okay. Adobe Audition, you can come up to File and press New. We're going to make a new multi-track session. And so this is how we start a new project file, just like what we did with Photoshop and what we will do for future projects doing video in Premiere or After Effects. You can title it. I would recommend something like Project 2 and then your name. And then it's going to ask for where you wanted to save it, where it says folder location. So if I click Browse, I can choose where on the computer it's saved at. If you click Browse, now that I made that folder, I can go to my documents, click on ARS 104 Project 2 Ryan Meyer, and then click on Project Files, and then press Choose. And then all this can be kept the same. Press OK. Now you'll notice back in this folder for project files, it's created another folder inside, and this is where it keeps your backup audio session files and the one you're working on. So it's automatically saved right there. All right, so now that I have this open, now I can go back to my assets, select, drag them over, and they're here in Audition. You can also click and drag them straight into the multi-track view. So for each of these rows, you have track 1, track 2, track 3, etc. I can grab one, drag it up, press OK. Once I see everything here, now this is the one I drag and dropped straight into track 1. And you'll also notice if I hover my cursor in between the tracks, the cursor changes and I can adjust the height of each one. This is helpful to see the waveforms a little bit better. So I like expanding them. But then with the Move tool selected, which is keyboard shortcut V, but it's also this little tool right here called the Move tool. With that selected, I can click on this audio clip and move it around. And this is going to be the basics of how you start, moving lots of these audio samples all around, fitting them together across the different tracks. And then I have no clue which sound this is, but we can take a listen. I'm going to press the space bar to play it. Okay, I think this one was supposed to be like some train sounds or something like that. You can also use plus and minus, pressing the plus and minus keys on your keyboard to zoom closer into the timing of the waveform. So the waveform is how the audio is expressed and shown visually. And you'll see these peaks and valleys correspond with the different sounds. So if I zoom way in, so it's kind of like a low signal here, and you'll see these spikes happening here. I play it, so that bump corresponds with what I'm seeing visually right here. I can also zoom in and out by moving this little scroll bar at the top, and I can click on the side, and if I stretch it in or out, it changes the magnification of the sound. So let me just see the whole thing here. Okay. And so these are the type of things. Let me bring another one on track 2. And you'll notice beside the audio, you have the M, S, and R. M and S is for mute and solo. So if I have a bunch of these, let's say I have like tons of these audio clips all in a row, and they're all making sounds, and I just want to hear one specifically so that I can start editing, I can click on the S, which is to solo it, and you see it grays out this other one. So now it's only playing this audio file. And it shows the levels here, decibel levels corresponding with the audio that I'm hearing. So this section, you hear what it sounds like. If I unsolo it and I bring in this other audio file, but if I take off the solo and now these two clips are over top of each other, then when the playhead starts moving, you'll start hearing both of these simultaneously. Now you may notice this one sounds a bit loud. So over on the left, you see a little circle slider. I can slide this down, and you'll start saying like -3, -5, -8. This is turning down the volume. So if I want to adjust the volume on an individual track, I can do it this way. So now I can kind of adjust them where I can hear both of them a little bit more clearly together. So this is how you're going to start bringing in all these audio files, putting them together, and arranging them one after the other, or together on top of each other, and having these sounds interact. Now, if there is a section that you like, let's say I'm going to solo this. Let's listen to this part again. So it has kind of this really kind of cool bassy sound. So let me zoom in right here. Say I want to cut that out and replicate it, even copy it a bunch of times, start building up new sounds just from this one piece. So a couple different ways I can do that. A quick way is by using the razor blade tool. That is also up here next to the move tool, or it's keyboard shortcut R for razor. And if I hover, the icon becomes like a little razor blade, and if I click where the blue line is, right before this kind of bassy sound, and then let's say right after it, it cuts out this individual clip, and I can start moving it around. Now I can also just copy it. I might not want to take this out, so I can press Command C to copy. Then I can click on, let's say, track 3 and press Command V, and then wherever my playhead is, it pastes that clip that I just cut out on track 3. So let's just hear it by itself. Now I can start duplicating this. Easy way is to hold down the option key, and on your keyboards might be Alt, I believe. And then if I hold down the option key, click, and drag it over, it creates a second one. And I can start like combining these. I can even overlap them this way. Let me do this like a bunch of times. And if I play it, I can then treat all of these sounds as one combined new sound. If I select all of them and right click or control click and press merge clips, now all those individual clips looks like one audio clip here. Then I can start editing this one, let's say the timing of it. So we can stretch and squash the timing of individual audio clips, even reverse it. So I'm selected on this clip. If I control click or right click, brings up some menu options. And then I can go down to stretch and stretch mode and click on real time. So stretch mode, real time. And this little stopwatch appears at the bottom of the clip. And also on the corners, I have these little white triangles. If I put my cursor over the white triangles, another stopwatch comes up. So if I click on that, I can drag this clip to the left and decreasing the amount of time these sounds are playing over. So instead of it playing over, let's say, I think it's about 10 seconds, which is right here, I can have the same sounds playing over about 2 seconds, which will change how it sounds. Then you start getting some very different things, kind of making your own sounds. I can go the opposite way. Let's stretch it way out. So you're getting that effect because I've stretched it so far that there is not enough data to fill in every new second, which goes about, actually it went from like 10 seconds to about a minute and a half. So all that extra time, it's trying to stretch those data signals over a much longer time frame. And so that's where you start hearing like individual like little squeaks and stuff. Okay, let's not do it quite so extreme. And then let's combine it with this one. And so you're starting to see this process of how I'm layering and layering and layering, just like with Photoshop, when you're starting to put these layers together visually, collaging these things, putting them all together, one on top of the other, maybe having blend modes or transparencies, things like that. As you're putting all these sounds together and then manipulating them, adjusting their time, we'll start adding effects as well. That's how you're gonna start getting some really crazy stuff happening. okay? And that's what we're looking for. That's why this project is abstract soundscapes, because with all this manipulation that you're doing, you may get some weird sounds, but it's okay. We're gonna go with that. So let's, on this one, let's hear how it sounds right now. Okay, so with this selected, on your left-hand side, under Properties, there's a little Properties tab. If you don't see it, you might have to come up to Window and click on Properties. And then under Properties, there's a Stretch drop-down menu here. So if I, you'll see a little slider for pitch. So I can also, let's say I want to make it deeper. So you hear the difference there. I just pitched down this sound. I can pitch it all the way up. Or way down. Even further. So yes, if you're stretching it by itself, it will change the pitch. And then if it kind of messes up the sound you're going for, you just have to change the pitch later on this way. Another thing you can do is you can reverse the sound, which is another kind of cool effect. But to do this, you can't do it directly in the multi-track window. You have to open this audio clip in the waveform editor. So if you double click on it, it brings open the waveform editor. This shows the whole waveform for just that audio sample. And you'll notice in the top left, it changed from the multi-track to waveform in blue. So I can play it here. And you can't do this in multi-track, but if you want to reverse it, I can come up to Effects at the top and then click on Reverse. And then now, it reverses the sound. Now this, you don't really hear a whole lot of a difference with this clip.
9, 8, 7.
Okay. So let's just take the voice here.
7.
I'm going to reverse it. You'll hear a big difference. Okay, so you start getting some pretty crazy results that way as well. And if I want to go back to my multi-track session, I just click top left, multi-track, and I'm back here with all my clips. All right, let's talk about effects now. Okay, so each one of these clips and each one of these tracks, you can add effects onto this audio. In the same section where you see properties, you should see a tab that says Effects Rack. Click on that. If you don't see it, come up to Window and click on Effects Rack. Then you'll see two options where it says clip effects and track effects. We'll just use clip effects. So right now that just adds effects onto the clip that you have selected. So right now we have this one selected. And then to the right, you'll see a little power button, and then to the right, a little triangle. Click on the triangle. And we're gonna go down to Filter and EQ, and then click on Parametric Equalizer. Brings open this window here. Then if I play this, you'll start seeing the sound being visualized in the equalizer here, okay? So this is showing the frequencies that we're hearing. You can tell over on the left, these are the lower frequencies. These are bass tones. Very deep bass tones, okay? I'm going to select a certain area, which is looping in the background. It's very high, okay? And you can hear that on the speakers. You hear that low rumble. And then a lot of this kind of staticky stuff happening right here, but nothing really high on the high end. So this goes bass, mid-tones, the middle, and treble on the right. The lows, the mids, the highs. This blue line with these points here, I can start moving them around and changing how the frequency is being played. So if I take down low frequency, say I bring this one up, and if I move it around, you hear how it's changing. Let me make it a little louder. It's selecting a certain frequency and boosting it, and that's that we hear. It's boosting a certain frequency according to where the dot is. Okay? You can also bring it down. So I could even get rid of a lot of the highs and basically just use this as like kind of a bassy section of my composition. And I can have a different audio clip that's doing something in the higher range. And this one just kind of fits nice and neat at the bottom. Okay? Just for the sake of it, for us to hear it better, let's do it like this. Alright, so it has added that effect onto this clip. Now we can add a lot more effects onto these clips. Now just note, the more effects you add on lots of different clips, it might start making your computer lag a little bit, especially if you're using your own laptop. But now I will, let's go and go to reverb. So if I click on the next one, next little triangle, click on reverb. And actually the main reverb is a little more CPU intensive. So let's not use that one. I believe a better one is studio reverb. So now if I play it, I can use one of the presets. So let's say we're going to use the Great Hall preset. And there's all kinds of other effects. I can't go over every type of effect here in class. I do encourage you to try stuff with, especially under modulation, chorus, flanger, phaser. You'll start getting some crazy stuff happening here. We'll go back to this one. So this is our main sound. And then with a flanger on it, if you zoom in a little further, you also see these gray boxes on the top left and right. This is how you can have a fade in and fade out for a specific clip. So if I click on one of the gray boxes, let's say at the beginning, and I click and drag it over, you'll see the line that goes from the bottom left. I can move it up and down. This will change how the volume comes in or out. So now, let's make it a little bit longer. We'll do a fade in. can hear it getting louder. I can make a slower fade in here. And same for the fade out. These type of things create movement. So now instead of just having that one sound playing, it comes in and then leaves. When I start combining that with some of these other sounds, you're going to start finding these clips and these compositions moving in different ways. That's what takes us on this journey. We don't just plop a piece of audio down, play one after the other, call it a day. We want to see the interaction. We want these things to be layered and then have movement coming in and leaving and maybe being chopped up in certain ways. You can really chop things up. Let's say I have a real small clip. It's really short, even shorter than that. So like not even a second long. And I start duplicating. I'm just doing this really quick. I'm not even lining them up well. That becomes a whole different sound. Okay? Then I can merge those. Right click. And then have those be a kind of like a fade out. I can also adjust the timing. Let's make that really fast. So you see this process. I'm just continuously manipulating, layering, and I'm not even putting more effects onto that. I click on that. I'll add that phaser. Let's do underwater preset. Okay. I know this is going to start sounding weird, but that's okay. We're getting out there. We're learning the program. We're learning how to compose these things. We're learning how to manipulate and how these audio files work and can be edited. All right. One final thing before we start working, to add even more movement, more dynamism to our clips, I'm gonna use this one up here. This is just kind of the original sound. Every effect, including volume and panning, you can change the values over time. Okay? What I mean by that is, let's say, just like the fade in and fade out, that's changing the volume from 0 to a certain amount, fading in or going the opposite direction. Now, for any effect that you put on one of these clips, you can do the same. So I'm going to select this. First off, let me do panning. So panning is going from the left and right speakers or headphones. We have the left and right signals. So if I zoom out a little bit, this middle line is kind of like on my screen, it's like a little light blue. I can click on it and it's making these points. And if I click on 3, I have 1 beginning, end, and in the middle. Then the one in the middle, I can click and see how I'm adjusting the value between those 2 points. So we'll see if you can hear it well on these speakers. But actually, I'm going to do it faster, so it should be a little bit easier to hear. guys hear that coming from these speakers back here? It's going from the left one to the right one. It may not pick up from on that side of the room well, but I'm changing the value to say, okay, take this audio signal, send it through the left speaker or the right speaker. And now, especially if you're using headphones, that will be very, very apparent. You will hear this audio move literally from hearing it only on the left side to the right side. Or it doesn't have to be 0 to 100. It can be like, let's say 70% left, 30% right. That will move this audio signals back and forth in your headphones, which can make a really cool kind of atmospheric effect, really make you feel like you're in this environment that's changing as you walk around, because that's how we experience the world. As we walk through the halls, we move our heads around, we hear different sounds coming and going depending on where we're pointing our ears, right? Same thing for volume. So this volume, there's this yellow line here. If I click on it, click a few points, I can, let's say, make it go down and up, just for to exaggerate it. So the volume is going to follow the levels of this line, down, up, down, and then back to middle. Okay? So you're editing those values over time. And then finally, you can do this exact same thing with any effect that you've applied. So on this clip, let me do something pretty drastic like the phaser. Do underwater again. But this time, you have to, it doesn't automatically make one of these lines. You have to come up to the top right of the clip. Right now it says volume. You'll see a little drop down arrow. Click on that. And now it adds the effect phaser. And if I hover over it, it gives me the different options that I can adjust. So we'll do, I'm going to adjust the feedback level. Click on that. And now it's added this pink line right here. So I'm going to do the same thing. Down, up, just for examples. So we can hear it coming off and on.